You know that voice inside your head? The one that's constantly running commentary on, well, everything? It can be your biggest fan or your absolute worst critic. So today, we're going to dive into how to manage that inner voice using some really powerful tools from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Let's start by figuring out if your inner critic has kind of gone off the rails. So let's just kick things off with a question from CBT specialist Veronica Walsh that gets right to the point. Is your self-talk, well, is it a little bit dramatic? Does it have a habit of turning small hiccups into full-blown catastrophes? If you're nodding your head right now, you are definitely in the right place. This is exactly the kind of thing CBT is designed to help with. Okay, so to really get this, we need to talk about something called your attributional style. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. It's just the way you've gotten used to explaining things to yourself. Think of it like a filter on a camera. It can make the world look bright and realistic, or it can make everything look dark and distorted. And that filter? That's the foundation of your self-talk. But why does our filter get so negative sometimes? Well, a lot of the time, it's stress. When stress sticks around for way too long, it can actually cause this major shift in our thinking. We're not just talking about having a bad day here. It's like that stress literally rewires our brain's default settings, making those negative, unhelpful thoughts feel totally automatic. All right, so that brings us to our first big idea. We're about to pull back the curtain on these bad thinking habits. The goal here is to start seeing our thoughts for what they really are, just thoughts. They aren't facts written in stone. And realizing that, that's the first step to getting back in the driver's seat. See, the real problem with all this dramatic self-talk is that when we start believing it's 100% true, it can make us feel completely powerless. It just cranks up the volume on our distress and can lead us to sabotage ourselves. I mean, if you've already convinced yourself you're going to fail, why would you even bother trying? Let's look at a real-world example. On the one hand, you've got this super dramatic statement, I battle my demons. Whoa, it sounds like you're in some kind of epic medieval fight against evil itself. Now look at the reframe. I'm learning to manage my stress disorder and doing my best. See how much calmer that is? It's more accurate and it puts the power back in your hands. It's a challenge, not a war. Oh, and here's another classic. I can't cope. It's just so final. It's a full stop, an absolute statement of failure. And if you believe it, you just stop. But the healthier reframe acknowledges the struggle. I find it difficult to cope right now. But it also says, I'm okay. It opens the door to possibility instead of slamming it shut. And you know, this whole idea isn't even new. We're talking ancient wisdom here. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it nearly 2,000 years ago, and it is the absolute bedrock of CBT. It's not the thing that happens to us that causes the pain, it's our story about the thing. Our self-talk is that story. Let's do one last one. People are horrible. That's such a huge sweeping generalization, right? It just paints everyone with the same negative brush. The reframe, though, is so much more precise. It zooms in on the specific behavior of some people and how that makes you feel. And that's something you can actually work with. Okay, so we've seen what the problem looks like. Now, let's get into the good stuff, the practical solutions. In this next part, we're going to build a toolkit that you can start using, like today, to actively start reframing those thoughts. But first, a really important point. This is not about positive thinking. It's not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is sunshine and rainbows. CBT is all about being a realist. It's about spotting the thoughts that are twisted and distorted and swapping them out for ones that are healthy, rational, and, actually true. So here it is, your 4-step toolkit for coaching yourself. Think of these as questions you can use to interrogate any negative thought that pops into your head. First up, evidence. Put on your detective hat and ask, where are the cold, hard facts for this thought? Not feelings, facts. Second, help or hurt. Get really honest with yourself. Is this thought helping me move forward, or is it just holding me back? Third, the impact. What are the consequences? How does this thought make me feel, and what does it make me do or not do? And finally, my favorite, the best friend test. If your best friend came to you with this exact same thought, what would you tell them? It's a great little trick because we are almost always so much kinder and more rational with our friends than we are with ourselves. Okay, now for our last section. And this one has what might just be the single most powerful tool for making all of this stuff actually stick. Let's call it the secret weapon, the power of discovery. And here it is. It sounds almost too simple, but trust me on this. The most powerful thing you can do to change your self-talk is to get those thoughts out of your head and onto a piece of paper. Just write them down. So, why on earth does this simple act work so well? Well, because our thoughts can be really slippery, right? They're just kind of lurking in the back of our minds. But writing them down forces them out into the open. It captures them. And suddenly, you're not swimming inside the thought anymore. You can step back, look at it on the page, and see just how irrational it might be. This is how you start to reshape the language you use. And it's what takes this from just an idea to a real life-changing practice. And there's actually data that backs this up. It turns out we only remember about 20% of what we just hear. But look at this. We remember 80% of what we discover for ourselves. The act of writing down your thoughts, looking at them, and reframing them, that is active, not passive. That's a huge difference. You know, this is actually so empowering when you think about it. A therapist, a book, an explainer like this one, we can give you the roadmap. We can hand you the tools. But at the end of the day, you're the one in the driver's seat. Only you can do the work of changing how you explain the world to yourself. You are the expert on you. I absolutely love this quote from one of Veronica Walsh's clients because it is just so real. Oh God, the drama of my head is bloody exhausting. I mean, that's it, right? That's the feeling. That mental exhaustion from the constant drama looping in our heads. This whole process. This is the way out of that exhaustion. So the goal here is pretty simple. It all comes down to practice. You have to apply, apply, apply. What you're doing is literally forging new pathways in your brain. You keep doing it until this healthy, rational way of thinking isn't something you have to force anymore. It just becomes your new automatic default. And that really just leaves us with one last thought. Your self-talk, that's the story you tell yourself about your life. Every single day. By picking up a pen, you're not just a character in that story anymore, you're the author. So the question is, what story will you choose to write?